Right, this is going to be another episode of Hot Take Point Made. For some reason, I don't know why, just the second this went live, the lighting in Mauisnake's room makes him look all washed out, like some sort of like, it looks like he's actually like in a print graphic novel comic book. Like it looks like just black and white enough, but with like a little bit of color, like you're almost a watercolor Mauisnake. That's what you look like right now.
I can change it. I have a square light that I'm now bringing. I'll make it a little
warmer
self-conscious.
Oh, okay. No, you did. There you go. It's like you actually did the shading there. You put some life, some vibrancy, some vitality. Some would say you injected into the scene there. So anyway,
exactly.
You know what, boys? Here's the thing. Normally, I like dance around at the beginning, like blah, 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 whatever. I did say, by the way, we are getting a thing where in future, we'll do it from the next episode onwards, fans will be able to submit their own potentially garbage hot take that we'll all just tell you. By the way, spoiler, I will almost certainly just pick the stupidest ones. Like, even though I want you, by the way, look, here's what I'll tell you, right? Quick advertisement here. If you want to ask one of these hot takes, you want to be included, what you do is you have to subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord. If you do that, there's a bunch of channels, and one of them's like, for example, if you're a League of Legends fan, there's one to call it SI Questions for Summoning Insight. We have a show, The Four Horsemen. It's an industry show, kassad's been on it before, where you have like Richard Lewis and Monte Cristo. So you've got all these different shows you can ask questions for. One of them's going to be hot take. There's one that's League, but we're going to do a CS one, and you can submit one. But here's the promise I'll make to you. In general, because you are just plebs, I am very much, I believe in sort of feudalism. I like to keep people below me in the hierarchy and make them aware that they're below me, deservedly below me, and that I've earned my status above them. So I will probably always pick ones that roast plebs. But here's the pledge I will make to you plebs. This is the pleb pledge. If one of you happens to be the unicorn, the pleb that wants to submit a take, but your take's actually good, every now and then I will put one through that's straight fire if you do a really insane one. Like if you do one that's not just totally stupid, you're not just baiting, but you actually come up with like a worthy one, I will definitely pick your take. But in general, I'll probably mostly it'll be a lot of ZywOo fans coming through this pipeline for that way. I just feel like, I sort of know the way my bread's buttered on that one. So anyway, to put an olive branch out to the community of plebs. Are you ready, plebs? Buckle up. I'm about to show you I was once a pleb. Sometimes I can be a pleb, and even more crazy, this will blow your mind. In any field I'm not a mega expert in, like I did watch almost every Counter-Strike match ever, I'm a massive pleb in other areas, so get ready for me to show you how it's done, plebs. This is the sort of take that might have gotten you onto Hot Take Point Made, because are you ready, boys? I'm going to start. The first hot take of the show is this. So what's hilarious is everyone who's a ZywOo fan won't even be able to handle this because their brain will just melt. Get ready. See this Vitality lineup playing now? You're already watching the GOAT CS2 lineup play the game right now. Like, I actually think, for real, this lineup could be the best team to ever play CS2. I actually think it is going to be one of the best CS teams ever. And I know, like, they've only won Katowice and EP. I don't even care. Like, the way that they've done it, I think it's fucking insane. If I was to run down very briefly, by the way, the craziest part is people forget all they did wrong at that Blast bounty was run straight into Eternal Fire, who, by the way, is a buzzsaw for any team right now in a BO3, and just lose. And that was actually early on, where the joke is that made people believe, like, oh, yeah, but Thorin, they're not totally perfect. They can technically lose on Anubis. Ask the Mongols how that one worked out. If you don't know, by the way, the Mongols thought they were punished picking that map. Like, I think this team is like so cracked it is impossible. One, you saw by the end of the event, the actual firepower distribution of this team is fucking chef's kiss mega. And you've got, like, on paper, the best player in the world, ZywOo. And you've got Rops, who at the moment, if he's going to be like your sidekick, this team is going to bang so crazy. It is going to be nuts. He also had an awesome final, by the way. Then you look at all the other pieces. If people don't know, the other pieces are living way beyond what you expect from their name. Like, everyone knows Flames is good. I don't think people have actually looked this year, boys, at the stats of, like, Apex and Mezzi. They are literally, like, getting, like, 10% sort of better numbers than you would think in your brain they're going to. So the whole team is crazy cracked. They've got, like, simultaneously, like, firepower, like, sharing, but then also some of the most concentrated firepower ever at the top end. I actually think Apex is smurfing as an IGL on T-side. He's just fucking killing it. By the way, even watch the series series they played against Mongols, bro, I've never seen them play like that. They played so fucking disciplined, and so they almost played like some like Astralis like punish style on T side, where they were going super slow and just waiting for like Mongols players to take duels and stuff. It like the actual like tempo change was really impressive. And then lastly, like I alluded to, I think the map pool were fucking hell, boy. Remember, they've already tested the train. If you don't know, guys, basically right now, I don't know how anyone matches up against them in the map pool. Like everything's going, not only because they won every fucking series, so every win percent rate is like 90%, 100% win rate, but like they just look so fucking good. Like I would, as I said on Twitter, I would genuinely challenge anyone out there, even if you just gave the entire veto to the other team in a best of 3. Tell me which team can even come up with a veto when they win the veto. I can't see it, boys. So like people are going to think it's right, it's a perfect hot take that I'm just glazing because they just won the event and everyone's, you know, high on the endorphins, how crazy the matchup. I actually think for real, this team looks like it could solve CS, mate. This team could just win everything. Thoughts, boys? There you go. The GOAT CS2 team already playing right now. There you go.
Go for it, Maui. I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait my turn.
I thought about this. I mean, I just got off a flight and I was thinking a lot on it. Kind of like, is CS kind of like, are we reaching are we capping it in terms of tactics? Are we capping it in terms of, because I feel like,
no, you sound like you're the ZywOo hater.
So many
ZywOo just wins mega big, and you're like, is CS done? Is CS just figured out what's going on with this game? I love it. Go on.
No, it's just that I think everybody, probably almost everybody, I'm not going to say every single player on all top 10 teams, but I'm going to say the majority of the players, the 50 players that occupy the 50 spots on the top 10 teams in the world right now, I think they all understand Counter-Strike at an incredibly high level. And now it's just kind of mixing and matching who's on these teams to try to get the best role for role player and best firepower per role. And Vitality have now hit a point where they have, in some ways, the best overall player in ZywOo. Like, I wouldn't want ZywOo to necessarily be like my insta-hard carry if I'm building a team from scratch over Donk if I don't know the other 4 players. But in terms of synergy, it's perfect. It's that you know you've got aggressive players like Flames and Apex who are going to be taking enough opening duels so he can play more of the mid-round, more of the late round. You have another guy who's going to be responsible on his side of the map in a solo position, a.k.a. Rops, also a.k.a. Mezzi. But Mezzi's so good at playing amongst teammates also. He's trading very well. And so it's almost like I need to find the way to even go against your point, Thorin. I would need to see the team that turns Counter-Strike on its head. I want to see the team that actually, and I feel like this is why teams like Furia with Art at the helm were actually kind of fun, because they would say, we don't give a shit about your rule book or what you think pure, proper European Counter-Strike is. We're going to play our style to death until it's to a fault. And I think that somebody needs to come around now and innovate so strongly, because I guess where, like, I think you're right. I think this is the best assembly of 5 players we've ever seen. I almost wish I just made the hot take earlier that they're going to win the Grand Slam. Like, I don't even think it's a hot take anymore. I was thinking of throwing that into the show when I was thinking of my takes on the flight also, and I was like, I just don't even think that's too hot anymore. So I like your take that we're already witnessing what is the greatest Counter-Strike roster of all time.
So what I love there, kassad, is I could already tell you're like thinking that you're just going to pick us all off at the end here. I could see like, as he said, like it's the greatest roster of 5 players. You reacted like someone like a fucking, like, so you're at the dentist and he just jabbed your nerve, like, oh, you got that little. So come on, hit me with it. Come on, hit me with all the criticism and skepticism, you fucking withered old bastard.
Like, I know, Duncan, that you are certifiably insane. I know that.
Of course, yeah.
But I guess Maui.
He's with me. He's joining me. Yeah, he's joining me.
Going along with you because, like, he had a long flight, and Maui.
I got him after a long flight.
Lisbon, right? Lisbon.
Copenhagen first.
The group stage is being played in Copenhagen, and then we're flying to Lisbon next week.
Just let me know once you get there for the Avenue de Brazil 53. That's a mental psychiatric center right there that you both can go there and just saying stuff like that. The thing is, like, right now, in order to have just go back in the past. And we said the best CSGO team of all time, right?
Yeah.
Is the team of Astralis.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Yeah. And then think about what Astralis did. Think about it. Every map they played in their big map pool, they had something that was kind of completely new, revolutionary in a sense, being, the set of smokes on Mirage, that everybody called Astralis default, banana takes from both sides, utility usage on different maps, for example, overpass, and every map had its own signature ways of improving and making it better evolution that other teams were copying. Now, Vitality right now, are they the best team on the planet right now? Yeah, they're going to win the Grand Slam, absolutely. I think there is no question about it. Maui said it, that he thought about on the plane. He didn't think about the shit on the plane. He probably drank a couple of vodkas and slept through the fucking flight, so stop lying. I know you.
He's doing it like a comedian. Hey, I just flew in, guys, and by my arms tied to eat you. You didn't, you liar. You came on a Greyhound bus from LA. Like,
no, you didn't.
I know.
I'm waking up to eat the meals, kassad, and I have to think about something when I'm eating.
No, about the meals. Yeah. Like what you're gonna eat next or something.
I'm not reviewing the airplane food meals. I'm not Jerry Seinfeld, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, you didn't think about this. Stop lying to people. That's another.
Okay.
Thing. So Vitality is the best as they are at the moment, and they will remain the best in the foreseeable future. Probably win the Grand Slam with the first chance they get. I don't know. Is it a major? Or what?
Yeah, I think you have to have like a. Is it? I don't think it's a major. I think you should have to have like a Katowice or Cologne. They've got a Katowice or.
They won a Cologne already, and now they have Kato and Cologne now.
Yeah. So they need 1 in 6, 1 in 6, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So that's fine. They're gonna win it, 100%. The thing is, like, do they have the best, let's say, composition of players right now? I don't think so. They are in the best 4.
Who has the best composition of players?
They don't have it the best composition, most ideal. I'm again comparing them to Astralis 2017, 18, 19. The composition of players for Astralis was much better than Vitality is now. The other truth is that goes to Vitality. These players individually are playing much higher, much better than Astralis did in the 2018 and 19, right? Individually, skill-wise, raw skill, whatever, right? They're better. But composition of players is different. I think that it's not 100% there for Vitality. But still, it's better than what everybody else has at the moment, and it will stay like that for the next 2, 3 months, 4 months, maybe even the whole year, for all we know, right? But as the CS:GO goes to another year and another year and another year, maybe even this year, something will change. Something will change because you have to take into account the personalities of that team, right? We have Apex, we have Robs, we have, it's a honeymoon still. They just, started first 3 months. You know how it went in the past when it comes to them. When the bad results happened, Spinks didn't leave for just like nothing. Obviously, there was something going on.
That's why I think it also works, though. That's why I'm actually positive you pick that angle. Because here's the thing. If I look at the personalities they have now, I think they have a way better blend. Like, if you think about it, right, you have like, here's what's funny. You have like all possible sides of personality, but with like a balancing element. Like, I'll give you an example. People like Apex and Rops are like super fucking driven to win, etc. But then people like Mezzy and Flames seem like almost like a fucking chill guy, balancing element. You have the people who want to play aggressively and be in your face. You have the people who just. I think the balance is quite good in this team, mate.
It's better than it was. I'll give you that. It's better than it, but it's still, not. I mean, obviously, when we look at like basketball and Chicago Bulls, like they had the best roles there. Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, whatever, right? But I don't know how were they like inside the team. You saw the documentary. There were like maybe disagreements and all this shit. Maybe that can work. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that one. But the truth is that like comparing them and making them the best team of all times, like already, that's a hot take.
Listen, it's going to be. Some would say it'll be the best hot take ever, kassad. If I actually nailed who the best CS2 GOAT team was.
Yeah, I'm going to say just
1 year and a few months in. That's not bad. That's pretty good. You nailed that like less than 1.5 years in.
I'll give you that. It's not a bad hot take.
And one of the reasons, by the way, I'll tell you one of the reasons also why I think it's just a great take too, is because they've got ZywOo, like the only team I can even think of that had a comparable peak was the now infamously sort of halted by the fucking Russia-Ukraine conflict Na'Vi. Like that also had like peak simple, but then with like an unbelievable cast of players around it where you looked at the same thing and you were like, bro, whoever stops this team, and the joke of history is, it unfortunately wasn't anyone, it was just actually like the world world itself outside the game stopped them. So
they had a better composition of players than Vitality.
So put it this way, unless something like that happens right now, like I'll give you the obvious caveat I could have said, but it'd make the hot take less sexy. If I had to give you the counter hot take, the team that can stop this squad, it's obvious to me, boys. It's just someone has to get on his fucking, what do you call it? What's even the name of that guy? You have to get on your fucking Rob Pereira or whatever, Maui, because what you're going to have to do to beat this team is you're going to have to somehow, and whoever does the other side of this trade, fire this person, they are the Nico, whatever this name is. You're going to have to get Modesty and fucking Donk together. If you do that, that's some like Avengers shit where maybe that can stop Vitality. But Vitality is Thanos. I hope everyone understands. Like, unless you just all fucking team together, this team is going to just tear everyone's ass up. Because actually, all the shit you're saying there, Kassad, I don't disagree with it all. Just the problem is, mate, this is where I'm quite cynical about CS2. CS2 is about shooting people, and that's one of the things. Not only can this team shoot people like very few lineups can, but also, mate, the actual, like, they didn't just play a one-dimensional like Eternal Fire. They actually had, like, there was, like, layers to this actual fucking game. I was very impressed, actually, with the Golden style.
We get it. You like Vitality. Shut up now. Let me speak a little bit. The problem with Vitality is the fact that they need to keep this consistent, and Spirit is close to them. Like, Spirit, because of Donk, is close to them.
Close to them? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Apex was stood on stage like, the Spirit guy, where are they? I'm waiting for them. Why they're not? Mouse Sports? Who the fuck is Mouse? Mouse?
Who was close to us, Charles? Who was close
Team
to us,
Liquid?
Charles, when they were the best? Barely. And that's in 2019.
Okay. I mean, they did like a million finals, boy. Wait, all right, are you ready? As usual, guys. New hot take. Team Liquid wasn't even making
I was there in 2019, Duncan, because the Charles was avoiding tournaments. Like, there was not enough finals. But
yeah, they were avoiding finals too when they went to them.
Yeah.
Pretty good. There you go.
I mean, it's crazy.
Not bad.
But the thing is, like, with them to say, like, it's a crazy take. I'll give you that. Didn't expect that one to happen. But obviously both are insane. So
I just like the way he always thinks that just by appealing to like what's likely to happen, that like he wins the hot take thing. Maui, like, well, it's not very likely, is it? They're just the best team ever already. It's like, well, yeah, that's the whole reason the hot take's straight fire, isn't it? Like, it'd be garbage if I waited to watch the 10 years of CS2. I think we're all really old. I'm like, I've been starting this one for 10 years, guys. You remember Vitality back in 2025? They were actually the best. Like, well, yeah, we've already seen all the game. Then it's not a hot take, is it? Like, you're acting like at the end of CSGO, you're like, guys, hot take, Astralis was the best. Like, yeah, that's the least hot take of all time, isn't it? That's like some Ice Age take. What are you talking about?
One light aspect for this whole them being the best, though, is like, I mean, it's easy. I think the Rops and ZywOo are obviously the headliners of this whole thing, but like, I mean, Apex was my second best in-game leader last year.
Don't you think the whole team's gone in like
no weak
unbelievable?
links. It's just no weak links.
No.
Like, I mean, even Spirit is close because Donk is just that much better than every other rifler that right now. But like, even number two Shiro is good, but that's what's almost bad about Spirit right now. It's that they can't, like, making the upgrade for Monacy for Shiro is like, come on, are you really gonna get rid of your number 2 guy?
No,
like, it just. You wish Zontix was the second best player, because then if Shiro was just like, the 15th best opper or like, HLTV 15th in the world, then you could feasibly find an upgrade. But like, the upgrade Monacy for Shiro is only good in isolation. It might not.
It is also, by the way, absolute bullshit. If you are Shiro, it is bullshit, because you're essentially just going, wait a minute, so you mean because Magic's and Chopper don't frag, I'm fired? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, I'm like the 5th best player.
The problem is like
true. It's true.
The thing is, like, obviously, Zontix is Ukrainian, so I don't know how that fits.
That might resolve itself.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Russian-Ukraine situation is also fucking up teams in a way that they cannot make these obvious changes.
Oh,
like
sure.
Getting bit, banning bit for Zontix or something, right? Because he's Ukrainian, and then you don't know, and it's like fucked, and it's preventing other teams from becoming better.
By the way, it's basically implied, if you ever read the interviews, that like Bit and Monacy would have tried to play together because they were like mates in the academy system. Yeah, it's implied they probably would have been already doing it. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and then nothing can be done, and probably nothing will be done in the future, considering the tension still going on and the fucking war going on. But overall, it's kind of fucked to think about the upgraded CS lineups, simply because of these factors, which puts Vitality in a driver's seat right now. Falcons are, whatever. FaZe is struggling. Who else is there? Eternal Fire is nowhere near top 3, even though they are top 5, I guess. They cannot be counted on. Who is there to kind of challenge them? Navi is, you see what's going on. So nobody except for Spirit with Donk is there to challenge them. So they might take these reins and just keep driving the fucking whole year. All right, who is next? Maui.
Yeah, sure. I'll go. This one, I don't know. Maybe it's not hot enough. We'll see. I'll say this. Okay, Yeah, of course. I thought about it on the plane.
Yeah, sure.
Can a person do work on a plane?
I know.
Why is that? Why is that
person can, but you didn't. I know it.
You have to remember, Maui, he did during an actual ad for like soap and shit, try to imply that he doesn't like soap that smells nice because he's a man or something. Like, you have to, because that has some very interesting takes. You know what I mean?
It's like
he doesn't need like fucking roses and lavenders and fucking just whatever. Right.
It's all good.
It's like an 11-hour flight for me from LA to Europe. Yeah. Like I can do more than just booze up and just And
actually, jokes aside, that actually is a great place for the way to. Unironically, I actually agree with Maui. That's also, by the way, a really good place to just sit and think. Just let your mind just fucking go and see what thoughts come. Yeah, this is a fucking dope place. Well, the best place to
read the most books on a plane. Definitely. I read more on a plane than
I'm a Maui on this one.
Did you take business or economy?
I was in economy. It's by a TO. A TO's not paying for my business.
Yeah, why did you upgrade? You cheap.
Put it this way, the ad's going to be later. I'm not going to do it right now. But put it this way, this is why you need those noise cancelling fucking earbuds, mate. Because then you get that, and then you fucking put your little neck warmer on, and
you should just do it now.
You just go into your world. Yeah, let's do it. You know what? In fact, yes. The reason why, kassad, the reason why people like you don't understand that planes are the best place to think and read is because you're thinking back in economy with that bit crying baby. You're just going, fuck, I wish I was back. I was coaching Jacob again now or some bullshit like that. But if you'd have had the Raycon everyday earbuds, then you could have used their active noise cancellation, kassad, which can drown out the most maddening of sounds. By the way, I'll even say this as well. I think it's actually a straight fire one. They have obviously the 32-hour battery life. So actually, even if you didn't fully charge them, they'll still last the whole flight from LA to Copenhagen. So you can do your event. They've got multi-point connectivity. If you don't have much time to charge, by the way, they're one of those really good quick charge functions. 10 minutes gets you about 90 minutes of battery. As in general, in terms of the price point, they're actually about half as expensive as most premium earbuds out there. They come in loads of different colors. I looked it up on the website, even though I'm a boomer and I just said black, whatever the normal one is, just send me them. I'm listening to them. I looked up, they do have loads of colors, and I would say if you want to get a bit fruity, why not go with yellow? They have a little bright yellow one, like little bananas in your ears. There you go. So you can listen to us talk about Inferno and then have bananas in your ears while you're doing it, and then also use active noise cancellation, blah, 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 all the rest of it. Anyway, so if you don't like them, if you're for some reason like kassad, you just don't like good things and automatically feel recalcitrant towards them, look up that word, straight fire. There's your word of the day, motherfucker. So then what you can do is you can use their 30-day happiness guarantee. Well, listen, it's a bit dangerous guaranteeing kassad's happiness, but they're willing to step up to the plate. That's the hot thing. So you got the 30-day happiness guarantee. No questions asked. You can return them. So go to, it's on the screen, buyraycon.com/hot take, all one word, HOTTAKE, to get 20% off the best-selling everyday earbuds, brought to you by Raycon. So imagine if you were to eat a delicious mushroom into your ear, what would you want? Not shiitake, you'd want hotake, which is the hot take. It's all one word, HOTTAKE. And also, it just reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where they're just going about shiitake mushrooms all the time. Looking up, Kramer takes those guys out on the town, and then he makes an actual armoire into a hotel for them. Look it up. There's a good Seinfeld episode, and these are great earbuds. Thank you to Raycon. That's buyraycon.com/hot take, aka hot arcade, a new term I just invented. That's not in the copy, right?
If you are a grown-ass man, just get the black ones.
Okay. What I appreciate is that wasn't actually
the yellow ones.
That was the ad I had to do at some point, but I plan to do it later. But if kassad's just going to go on some mad rant about how on airplanes,
no, but the thing is,
it's like you know what? I have to ask you a question, kassad. I have to ask you a question. Do you mean to tell me when you go on planes in economy, you actually do what the kids call like raw dogging, and you just sit there all grumpy, like, it's going to be 8 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just, I refuse to think. I refuse to enjoy things. What's that smell like? Shit, who cares? I'm a man.
Listen. I paid my dues with fucking flights in the past 10 plus years. Right? Yeah. I drove the economy. I flew economy from fucking Dallas to Sydney. I flew economy from fucking LA to Istanbul, from LA to fucking Warsaw. Everything was economy, and it's fucking right here. I can't fucking do it anymore. So
you can't. You've actually reached. Here's what's funny. You said you reached your limit point. Normally, I find it goes the other way, kassad. Normally, what I always tell people is when you've done enough like long hauls, you become like a Buddhist monk, mate. Like nothing can touch you. If they tell you like, bad news, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a 2-hour delay. You're just like, that's nothing to me. You want to make it 7 hours? Who cares? You just become like. Zone up, but you're right. You can't handle it anymore. You're done. You're done now.
No. I'm just too old for that shit.
Right.
The thing is, like,
he's already on his Danny Glover shit. Of course, he's already on his Danny. I love it.
Whenever I can, I upgrade my flights.
Okay.
Whenever I can, whenever it's financially feasible, like I do it. I upgrade. I don't care about the fucking money. I just upgrade and I enjoy the flight. And then when I can do my thinking. Right?
He's too old for this shit. He's only about 38 or something.
Some asshole is fucking walking through the aisle and kicking my leg, and then somebody behind me is fucking pushing my seat, and then you eat shit food that smells like shit.
That's just how it is.
It's fucking terrible. terrible things.
It's too bad. I wish so badly, Mauy. Now I can even just be like, well, that's why there's the new factor meals on the plane option that you can advance order. Like, even kassad approves them, like fucking special Balkan cuisine.
It's fucking crazy. Know. So on economy class, no thinking. Anyway, Maui.
Okay.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please fasten your seatbelts, turn off your brains, and welcome to I can't handle it, mate.
Just dog it like a fucking man.
It's too bad.
Look at the empty fucking seat in front of you.
I will say, by the way, though, the joke is, this all loops back in, because the final joke is this, which is, that is actually something that I can tell you, though, did happen in some like mad late, I'm talking like 2019 or something, boys. I remember there was actually an event for real. Someone on Twitter will know what I'm talking about, where one time Tarek, for real, was going to an event. Somebody was in like EG or something mad, boys. He was going to an event and he actually did a picture on his social media where he was like, what the fuck? And he'd got on one of those planes where it's like really old and it had no entertainment system, Maui. And because he's Tarek, he just got on the plane and he was doing like a long haul where for real he was just looking at the back of like an empty seat. But the joke, obviously, sadly, the jokes write themselves, because since it was Tarek, he was like, oh no, how will I just turn my brain off for 9 hours each turn streamer mode on? Oh, there we go. That works.
Air France.
It was actually some like real like long haul or something. I remember just thinking that's like my nightmare fuel. By the way, get on like this must be a long seat. Like that's you. Yeah, that's like the one where you're at the end and you don't even have the choice of the meal, and they just go, sorry sir, there's no available options. The vegan option is yours. You're like, what? So anyway. What's the next take? Who's the next take?
Okay, yeah. So I don't think this is necessarily the hottest take nowadays, because I think a lot of people were saying this before, but like I'll frame it in a way that I feel like is uniquely me. Is just that so I'm right now of the firm opinion that this is the best map pool that we've seen in Counter-Strike. I think that this is the best map pool we've had for probably the last 7 years.
What?
I think the map pool is incredibly good right now. I think it's very, very good.
Shoot this man. Like, what the fuck does this mean? What is the worst take of all time?
No, okay.
Hit me with it.
For entertainment and playing, I think it's in a very, very good state right now. It's Sure. Okay. That's not even the hot take. Okay. I guess that is the hot take. I guess that's the hot take. Either way. But I'd say that the worst map in the pool right now, which kind of shows almost too abundantly clear all of the T side being too strong, the Molotov being too one-sided, that the T Molotov is way better than the CT Molotov. I feel like all of that comes to a boiling point and makes Inferno the worst map in the pool right now. I've held out for a really long time because I thought Inferno was fine, but it's now gotten to the point where teams are just taking banana with better T Molotovs than the CT Molotov, and then they're just executing B with the remaining Molotovs, and then they find themselves in sometimes even a 3v4 post plant, and they just still win. Like, it's kind of become the weakest map for me in terms of a viewer experience, because the CTs can't really even... they can do stuff. Like, there is counterplay. It is Counter-Strike at the end of the day, so you can always do something. Okay. But on other maps right now where you can flank really well, some teams are just running like a 4-1 where they're sending like kind of 4 of their guys kind of towards the B side, and then one guy just kind of lurks alt mid or hauls by himself, and then he just kills anybody that pushes, and then you don't really want to flank that badly. So the counterplay is not as strong on Inferno as some of the other maps, like say even Mirage, or even like especially Nuke, Dust 2. Ancient, for example, has so much proactivity you could do all the time. But like Inferno, I just think it's led to the worst viewing experience in the current pool that is within the best map pool we've had in the last 7 years.
It's a double hot take.
One of these every fucking morning.
Okay.
Before you fucking go.
Is that just fish oil? Is that just fish oil?
Yeah. Whatever it is, it'll fix you right up. Exactly, it'll fix you up.
For you, it should be enough.
Anti-bullshit pills.
You can't get any worse than this. The thing is, like, listen. Saying that shit is crazy, but
it actually was one of the hottest takes I've ever said on the show. I'm going to say it's up there. It's up there.
You said like this is the worst map pool.
No, it's the best. It's simultaneously the best map pool, but Inferno's the worst.
Inferno is the worst. This is the best. Are you fucking crazy? Like it's
seems
crazy
like
to say that. First of all, Anubis is a map that should be fucking deleted instantly, because the map is worse than Cobble was. I'm not sure if you remember Cobble. Were you even active back then when we were?
Yeah.
We were competing back then. Yes,
I was commentating tier 2 and stuff like that, and playing at tier 2.
Okay.
No, I'm trolling. Of course, you were there. The thing is, like, I'm trying to illustrate how bad it was, right? The thing is, like, you couldn't do anything as a CT, and that was so bad. And you can play middle, you can play like side holes or whatever you call that fucking thing, on towards the A side, and then there was connector drop, and maybe you can do some sort of a gimmicky moves, and that's it. Whole platform with an op or some sort of a bait setup there. Anubis is even worse right now. There is nowhere to go as a CT. Literally nowhere to go. Everywhere you try to push is either expected by now because the flashes are flying at the same timings, the mollies are flying on the same spot, the smokes are flying, people are reacting to pushes from the A side outside very easily right now, because that was a surprise for a month or so, or 2 months, and then people caught on, and now it's completely different. On B side, you have only one play, flash and run out. Anything else you do, you will be read easily and just countered immediately if the team has any brains, which a bunch of teams do right now, and they react very, very successfully against those things. So CTs are fucked. As soon as they lose utility, they either they can gamble, or they can just wait to lose the round. Unless somebody gets a double, triple, or just win the round on individual skill, there is no way to win the round as a CT. Which just sets the Anubis is absolutely the worst map right now. Behind that, we have Train that looks like a fucking Resident Evil Raccoon City fucking streets.
Not bad. Not a bad take.
Yeah. You can't do anything. The ladder is so fucked up. It's not even close to what it was. The meta before on Train on ladder was so different and so much more impactful when you have to hold and people drop, and there's different ways to drop and to take it, poke it, double drop, flash, all this shit. Right now there is nothing. The trades are outside, are also like messed up. You can't do really much anything. The executions, the smokes are flying 300 fucking hours, and then they're landing, and then you need to throw them from fucking different map to land on sandwich. It's just nowhere. Like, the map is nowhere. Inferno, as bad as it is, I do agree with you, as a viewing experience, I would say it's much more multi-dimensional than Anubis, because you said holes. The CTs can watch your demo and see how you use utility on the T side in holes. And then they can choose if they play aggressive, if they play defensive in holes, they can do setup in brackets, setup in holes, they can push banana, they can retake banana, they can play defensive banana, they can gamble 3B, they can do the late fucking retake of middle, they can do all kinds of things, which you cannot do on fucking Anubis or Train, because it's fucking shit. But it's still the third worst map. Then we have, Mirage, same shit every day. Nothing really changes there, so I guess it's okay. Then we have, what else? Ancient, which is a pretty good map right now. I saw the stat that 62% of the T side finishers are on B side and 38 on A, which is kind of off balance, I think. And I think it needs to be a little bit improved on A side with some sort of a update, I guess, so people kind of shift more towards B. Because if you play the odds, you can just stack every crucial round on B and hope for the win on the City side, but like that's a different matter. But overall, it's a map that's worth playing, and I think it's one of the most played right now, if I'm not wrong. And then there is Dust 2, which is the same shit like it was, despite the the suicide, the suicide drop and the AWP not being able to pick, which is also good. Overall, that I see nothing new. Same old long takes, same old fucking short executes, same old B splits. Nothing really new is coming up on these maps. I would rather have a new map than this fucking thing right now, and updates on the several one. But to say that this is the best one, I can agree, because the previous version was even worse than this one. So I guess this might be the best one then. So you were right, yeah.
The problem is there's two parts to this hot take.
All that to say I'm right at the end is crazy.
No, what he means at the end is like, you're right, but he doesn't like it. Basically, that's what he's just saying, isn't it? Like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
You disagree with him. I thought you said it was a terrible take and need to take meds.
No, it's a terrible take, but just I had to explain it to him because he was too tired from the fight, so he's not really himself right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Your opinion, Duncan?
The problem I have is this: it's a double take, isn't it? So, like, I actually disagree with both sides, but one less than the other. Oh. Right? The actual worst part is the idea this is the best map pool. Like, in a minute, I'm going to ask for more on that because you didn't give me much. I'll let you give me the Inferno.
In 7 years. So in seven, or I guess it's technically like 6 years and like a quarter.
So ever since Vertigo came out, basically.
Yes, yeah, literally. Because the map pool before Vertigo was Cache, Dust, Inferno, Mirage, Nuke, Overpass, Train. I thought that was a fire map pool.
Yeah, the golden age, basically.
Yeah, that's my favorite map pool ever. It's the best since then, and it's been 6 years and like 2 months or something, or I don't know, something around then.
I see. In that case, I see what he means. That he's essentially angled this entire, in a way. Now he's sort of got me as well, Kassad, because what he's done there is essentially, since I do think Vertigo isn't even a CS map and is actually an abomination, he's making every other map pool have to be one with Vertigo in. So in a fucked up way, I sort of agree with him in that sense that like just to not have Vertigo makes this better. The obvious problem right now is Train is just not a very good map. In fact, it's got dog shit right now. Like, I agree, by the way. One of the things you're pointing out is one of the weirdest things about Train is it's like Valve really does just get you with the fucking cursed monkey paw every time. So if you say like, I'd like Train to come back, they're like, here's a map that looks like Train. It's like, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Like, I said I want Train. Like, if you don't know, guys, CSGO Train already had like Northern Charmer 1.6, but this one has completely lost it all. The whole point of Train that makes it brilliant is because you have all those level changes in 1.6. You can go under a train, on the ladder, which by the way, the movement fall was way better. That makes it, by the way, first of all, like you can do all sorts of weird like dodges and weird like air movement tricks. That's actually really good for helping terrorists to get out onto a site, for example. Then you've got the whole factor that like, because you can hide under the train, you can simultaneously like hide from people shooting at you. But then when you come out, you've got those super long lanes that go down both parts of the map. One of the things I always loved about Train is it's a really, really unique map, because I'd nailed it there. In CSGO, it actually had a dynamic that wasn't even the main thing in 1.6. In 1.6, it was more about like, can you get onto the site? In CSGO, it was all about who controls that fucking ladder room. Like, that used to be the most important dynamic on that. That doesn't even exist in this version of the map. So what I don't get is it does like, listen, it has the textures that look like Train, but for me, it doesn't play like any other version of Train I've ever seen. Like both versions, CSGO and 1.6, were really tactical maps. One of the things I always thought was great was they were actually maps where teams loved it, because if you could actually win a T side, you were just fucking godlike on tactics. Like, this one is just a DM. Like, it's actually the worst. Whoever made this Train, it's so cynically made. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. And also, I'm really scared to know, like, I don't even know how you improve it. It looks like it's actually started as such a fucking turd. I don't know how you can polish it. So I'm scared of the Train one. And then I won't do the whole thing, because I sort of agree. If I have to keep Vertigo in one of the map pools, I do think Vertigo was absolute trash. I think it actually ruined every map pool. The problem is, obviously, you did have stuff like Overpass that I liked that sort of balanced out a little bit. You had old version of these maps. The problem I have at the moment with the map pool is, I do think in general it's not very good. But if anything, Mauisnake just highlights to me how long I've just endured the Vertigo era. Like, if I have to go back to when Vertigo exists, that just means we've had all the worst map pools have just been the last 6 or 7 years. He's sort of right. I sort of agree with that. And I do think, by the way, even though I don't totally hate Anubis now, it's not a Vertigo status for me. It's still not great, though. I'll give you that, Kassad. Like, it is still a very limited map, in my opinion. And actually, the worst reason... Here's a hot take for you. I saw all these teams, like I alluded to in my take, who think now you can... Because there's nowhere left in the map pool to go against Vitality, they're all going to try and test that Anubis. I'll just make a prediction for you. I don't think that Vitality are ever going to flex into the Anubis, but this is going to be like when Mouse tried to punish pick a Vertigo into them one time and got clapped. A bunch of teams are going to try and pick the Anubis and just get beaten by Vitality, because I'll tell you what, with the firepower and the clauses they have, good luck playing that map against them, you're not going to win. And then lastly, I'll give you this as well. I don't totally agree with all that Inferno's the worst map though, because I'm kind of like kassad. Even though I don't think this is the best version, I think in CS2 it's definitely been degraded a lot and people do just save a lot. The problem is, I think some of the other maps are still worse. Like one thing I do still like about Inferno is I still feel like you can play most types of CS on it. Like if you're, like I'll give you an example. You can actually just do a pure hold where you stop them getting into the sites. You can do retakes as long as you're, you have to be a bit faster maybe when you start the retake now, but you can still do retakes on both sites. I also think it's the type of retake I enjoy, which is you have to do it with more than one person. You have to use utility and clear people out. You don't just run in and then fucking shoot people like Mirage or whatever. So it's still got some charms to it. I'm with you though. Here's the thing. It is still a pretty bad map pool, but essentially your point, that's what I've identified. You sort of cheated, but you win in this sense that like by default, if you hate in Vertigo like I do, every map pool with Vertigo has to be the worst. So I see what you mean on that one. It's a good hot take in that sense. It's a good hot take. I've got a quick one for you. I'll go. You can go if you want, kassad. Yeah, go.
I didn't do one.
Oh, you haven't done one at all so far? Okay, fucking hell, okay.
No, listen.
I got lost in that whole plane thing. Right, come on, what's the hot take?
I know.
The hot take is that the German scene...
Jesus, I got so scared when he just said that. Go on, keep going.
Is so bad that the one with Speedy and Dennis was better than this one now.
Listen, that's certainly already one of the funniest hot takes right there. Because go on, we have to do this real though. Go on then, hit us with all the reasons. Give us like the breakdown.
The thing is, like, you look at big right now. Just look at the reason is big. The reason is fucking big. The day the news came out that the Kakafu was relieved of coaching duties at big. He was there for 3 months?
Something like that, yeah.
No, maybe a little more, maybe 6-7 months, right? Maybe even more.
Longer,
doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
a little longer. Where they switched players and they finally got a lineup after like whatever Regon and getting Searson back and having some success and not having success and qualifying, not qualifying, and then they end up getting hyped and then they're getting QB both for free, I think, from Fnatic and from that alternate attacks, and they looked all right. They looked like a team that kind of was promising in a sense. They maybe got the pieces better. They got the younger players. They can do something. And 3 months later, they removed the coach for the 16th time in the last two and a half
They've had a lot
years.
of coaches, yeah.
Meanwhile, and not just coaches, the players, they went from international to German to international to German to international to fucking German again. And then, all of a sudden you get the coach, you give him the space, to remove Searson, to remove Regon, to go back to this thing. And then you give it, 2-3 months. They had a good run in, was it Kato maybe? At least a good run, but like some sort of good games, promising games on, Katowice. And then I don't know how they did in PGL. It was like pretty bad, but in CCTs they were bad constantly. And they didn't give him enough time. They just kicked him. I spoke to the guy back in Kato. He seemed real normal. He seemed like very, kind of focused. And he seemed like he knows what he's doing. And now he's cut off. For me, right now, the reason for all this is happening is tabseN. Because there is nobody else. He is the only guy in the team who has never been replaced or never even talked about being replaced. And he was the IGL, then he wasn't the IGL, then he was the IGL again, and then he is controlling. I'm pretty sure that he is controlling all the lineup changes together with whoever is running the org right now. And obviously he's never going to remove himself, but for now they're running the team like it's 2015-16. Like they cannot get, behind any team for longer than 2-3 months. They're kicking coaches flat. Who's going to fucking join them? Who's going to join that project right now after that? And on top of that, they're wasting Krimbo's talent, who is one of the most talented German players in the recent history, even more talented and more skilled than tabseN was in his prime. And they're wasting. The kid refused the offers from other teams to stay in that project, and look what they're doing to him. On top of that, they have an interim coach who is a known cheater. That Xen guy, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Fair enough. Don't know about that.
He was fucking cheating blatantly in CSGO. Like, it was like, there is like a... And he admitted it at some point. Okay. And he is there as a... Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, they're so bad.
Oh, it was back in the infamous Killerfish, the one everyone said through all the games. Yeah. Stuff. Right, okay, fair enough.
Yes. Like, and he's there, like, interim coaching in Big. Like, the Big is so bad that they're worse than Astralis at this point. And that's a statement. to be worse in managing fucking players and teams than Astralis. Like, they're doing it. For what I'm thinking right now, you need to get rid of tabseN. You need
Wait,
to
the hot take is you need to get rid of tabseN. It's his fault that Big's held back. That's the hot take.
Yeah, it's tabseN's fault that Big's fucking failing. Okay. And whoever is approving those decisions, right?
What do you
Somebody's living in some fucking past. Somebody's living in 2016, 15, 17 when tabseN was the shit, when he was the fucking phenomenal player, and he decided to stay in Big and ruin his career in a sense. He was loyal, whatever, like some sort of Francesco Totti type of situation.
Yeah.
But far from that. And the thing is, like, they've won 5 events in the fucking, 7-8 years. With all this funding and all these things and all these gaming houses and changing and international, and they won 5 online things. Like, not a single LAN. Not a single LAN where I saw them, like, besides that Smuja thing, that I saw that they're playing, well to see, like, top 4 or some shit like that. Like, right now they need to re-examine very fast what they want to do. Well, they want to be international, they want to be a German lineup. And if I'm Krimbo, I'm rethinking my choices and saying, like, listen, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to be a part of this. I want to rethink my options. Maybe I want to go to the international lineup and not waste my career on a 5, 6, 7K salary, but I can be on a better team, that earn better money, play more tournaments, play on LAN, and don't have to deal with this fucking shit anymore.
Okay.
Because what the fuck are you doing? I'm the talented one. I'm the one that's carrying your team right now. It's because of me your team is on the map at all. Without me, your team would be less than top 30. And look what they're doing to me. Just fuck off. Let me fucking be who I want to be and just fucking go and play with the teams that are gonna fucking understand what I need. Or get me who I need in the fucking team that I'm right now. So overall, Big is the, causing German scene to be worse than it ever was.
I mean, without really knowing what's going on inside that team or who's causing the decisions, I understand where the take comes from, though. I understand that tabseN's been the consistent point, but also seeing tabseN in some ways deliver Big to their highest highs. Like, I'd almost just put it like this: like, when they were at their best, it was the online era. It was when tabseN was in-game leading. And, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, they peaked at the worst time ever. That's kind of the problem with them, where the best time, like, they won that ESL Challenger or what was it, DreamHack Open Leipzig, and they were on the come up at the beginning of 2020, and then the pandemic happened, and then they just continued to be extremely good. And then people discredit it because, how can you really believe in them when the only thing they've ever really done was win a DreamHack Open? Like, it looked almost just like, how are you now beating the best teams in the world? To me, it just felt like they were, if I try to think about it without the online portion of it, it's like, well, they were trending upwards. They just got, at the time, syrsoN. They were playing with Xantares for a while. It was the most stacked lineup that Big ever had, and they were actually doing well. This is just the one time where I'll say, like, I don't know why Big decided to go away from Rigon and syrsoN. I get Rigon. Rigon looked really uncomfortable in his positions, but, like, I think there were a couple people who welcomed Hype's return on this roster. I was not one of them. I thought that syrsoN, even though he has problems, like, it doesn't seem like he ever goes to boot camps. He is definitely better online than he is at LAN. He can still win you a lot. Like that's the thing. Like, he still is a lot of he's still a fountain of talent. Like, he still is going to out frag people like Hyped on any given day. He's still going to out frag. Like, he still can be a top 10 opper in the world on certain days. Like, I'm not going to get the consistency, but, like, versus Hyped, I don't even really feel like I see the highs or the consistency. So I don't know what I'm getting. If I'm not getting the random pop-off games like syrsoN gave me, I don't know what Hype's giving me. And I will say I'd stay away. I'm staying away, whether Thorin wants to get into it or not. I'm staying away from the idea that tabseN is like a toxic asset, because I just feel like the players on the team have been kind of mixed in terms of fit, in terms of ability. Like, I've never looked at a Big lineup for the last 2 years and been like, I've gotten excited, but I've never been like, they can be championship winners. Like, I don't think you can ever construct a team with 5 Germans and win championships in 2025. The scene is too loaded with talent.
And if you're not picking,
Well, wait. I mean, like even this year, like they're not. There's no chance that I don't think Big has any real chance to be a top 8 team. Like if they ever gets a 10th best with this lineup, that's a huge. That's huge.
I never said tabseN is the toxic asset. I'm saying like look at the facts. Like he's the only one who wasn't replaced a single time for what 7 years. That's correct, right? How many players did they change? 15, 20, 10, 12?
Oh yeah, he's been there for 8 years. He's been there.
And who do you think then, based on those two things, who do you think is pulling the strings then?
Yeah, I'm sure he has a huge say in it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying he's the reason for that. Somebody needs to put a stop to it and say, like, listen.
Oh, here's what's funny. I sort of agree, but not entirely as usual. So here's how I agree. I do agree in this sense, Maui. I do think, unfortunately, the tabseN experiment in Big has come to a close, and here's why. Because I actually think, I'll just speculate for a while, that I sort of think kassad might be right. It seems to me like tabseN, either he directly has control over this, or he just happens to be someone who's in the mold where he agrees with all these things. But I don't know if he's the one choosing it, but I think he agrees with all these moves, and he's of the same mind as whoever's making these moves. Because my problem is I'll do like what kassad did. If you break it up into eras of Big Clan, really, the reason why Big Clan in the first place were ever relevant, if you go back in time, we're talking now like 7-8 years ago to like 2017, 2018, when they were having those like results with Smooya and Kiev, is because back then they had 2 players who in theory were like overqualified to be in the team. You had tabseN as a star player. It's real. He really could have been in FaZe, G2, like a lot of teams, and Jockey's North American teams would have signed him like in an instant. The guy had obvious skills. So he was already sort of choosing like, I am the best German player, but rather than just be a great player in another team, I will play in the best German team. So you had the star player, and then GOAT at the time was still respected enough as like a legendary IGL that like he also maybe could have gone, by the way, again, if we're looking at teams, like think of some of the whack, like washed people they took in the FaZe class IGL. I'm sure GOAT, I'm almost certain could have gone to like, again, American team if he wanted. A team where people just would have respected he could have been in like an international mouse sports lineup again, probably if he wanted to be. A lot of people respected him. So you had 2 people sort of do what I always call, here's my analogy I give in CS and esports, guys. It's like someone saying, I'm going to do a startup company. Right? I could just go right now and be chief executive of a real company or like head programmer or lead artist, but instead I'm going to sort of like take the hit that I'm going to make less money in the short term. I'm going to be an entrepreneur and start up a company. And because it's a startup and my skill set is I'm an executive and his skill set is he's the programmer, we're going to sort of work for less because we're going to own the equity. And eventually when it gets massive, we'll be glad we did this because we sort of gambled on ourselves. That's what you did in Big Clan with GOAT and tabseN. You sort of said we had 2 people that could go elsewhere and just be mercenaries like sports, but because they both believe in German CS, and in this case is what's going to tie in, they both believe in like old school tactical German CS where you play this really like rigid style where you practice 1 million hours a day. They then made this team up. The problem you have is this. That was like 7-8 years ago. First of all, GOAT doesn't even play anymore. In fact, he went off to Valorant to coach. He came back to coach there. They didn't want him anymore. So GOAT's gone. And all you've done now is just wait until the most insane diminishing returns ever on tabseN's personal game. Like, if you've watched him, guys, every year it just gets like 5 to 10% worse. So, like, even that narrative of like, but he's a really good fragger. And did I just, bro, he hasn't been a good fragger for about 3 years. I'm not even joking. Like, that, but it's weird. He held on for a hell of a long time. I'll give him that. Like, even when he was IGL for a couple of years, he was still doing it. But first of all, his individual game has fallen off. Secondly, if we're going to have all these episodes on past weeks, guys, about how CS2 isn't about tactics, mate, the bigs of the world, they are dinosaurs. They are fucking, they can't survive in the atmosphere of CS2. Like, this game isn't their shit at all. Like, they seem to have none of their edge whatsoever. Like, they don't even get the crazy upsets they used to, boys. Like, you know, back in the day, if they got a random series where they're just 2-0, yeah, maybe they could do it. Bro, they'll win 1 map. That's it. That's the equivalent of an upset now. It's just get to 3 maps. So I'm sort of with you. And I do put some of that on tabseN because I think tabseN, what he learned, unfortunately, from GOAT was, I give the analogy for this would be like this, kassad. You know, one thing I get really bored of in English football is when you have all these former Manchester United great players on all the pundit shows talk about like what's changed about Manchester United now. They think he can just go back in a time machine, bro, and just make it like however Alex Ferguson ran it in the 90s. So I always want to tell them, like, you are right, it's obviously gotten worse, but like you couldn't use the same methods from the old days anyway. Like, football's changed. Like, you're not going to get the things they want, bro. Like, you'll have some shit like Roy Keane telling people, like, why are your players on their phones in the dressing room? It's like, Roy, you're about 20 years off the pace on this one, mate. Like, they're on their phones in all the great dressing rooms, you dickhead. Like, you're using some boomer 90s logic. So I'm not trying to do that, but I do think on some level that they do that in big. Because as I told people, the weird thing I noticed in all those interviews, I've done interviews with loads of coaches and players from Big Clan, there's a trend where they don't ever overtly say it, but they make it sound like one of the reasons talent goes to big to die, and I agree with you actually, kassad, is because they just grind you to oblivion. It's the craziest like workhorse fucking team I've ever seen. They really have that mentality that, look, here's what's so sad, bro. This is how fucked sports narratives are. If they were winning the major, I would now praise this and say, like, what an amazing mentality. But like, they do that shit where it's like, if you lose, you better practice even harder because you're losing, and if you win, you better practice more to maintain what you're winning. That's great if you're Astralis and you win everything. It's actually a bummer if you just come like last place in every tournament and you do that, because then you just start asking yourself, like, normally when you ask that question, guys, like, would you practice like Kobe Bryant if it meant you could win all the rings? It always contains that second part. You get to win all the rings. You don't practice like Kobe Bryant and then be like the 6th man of the year. Like, that's just lunacy. You've given up your whole life to not even be the best. So the problem I have is I don't totally agree. Like, pretty sweet. I imagine if tabseN leaves tomorrow, kassad, the whole project's over and they may as well just shut the fucking doors. It won't even be a German team. It'll probably just be another random Sprout-esque, you know, hey, we'll just bring in players or whatever. But lastly, I'll just end on this last point. The reason why I think it could be true that tabseN, at least I would move on from this era, there's an obvious reason why, and you nailed it. Because Crimbo's about to make the same mistake tabseN did. Bro, get out while you can. This is some horror movie shit. If you're tabseN, you should almost like look at Crimbo and go like, I'd maybe think about other options, mate. Because, like, bro, give him a chance. Don't let him go down the same path you did. I agree with you, kassad. Crimbo tomorrow could be not only a top team, I think he should have been signed to G2. He'll be really good. Because that's the last thing I'll say. I sort of disagree with Maui. I used to think the same thing. Like, these talents are all overrated. It's like, bro, every single one of them can't be shit. Like, these players actually somehow get worse when they're in Big Clan. I don't know how. All of these players, if you go watch one of the other team, I can see where they pick them up. By the way, everyone's even forgotten some of the old ones. How about kassad's boy, Farven? He was the original fucking Crimbo, your Farven. Hyped. Sirison himself, it was only online, it somehow worked, etc. So, no, the sad thing is, they had their period, it was the online period when they had Xantares. That was a period where you could really have done a lot. That ended, they went back to German CS. The last few years have just been like, just try changing everything except tabseN. At this point, I'm with you, kassad. There's nothing left to do except tabseN. You just have to change that. And I also agree. I hope Crimbo just goes elsewhere. No hate to Big Clan, the idea of the project. If it had worked, like I said, I would have praised them, how diligent they all are. But I get the feeling you just go there and you just grind yourself to oblivion. And at the moment you don't get results, unfortunately, that's the bummer. You don't get any results. Sad.